Okay, now we're going to have some fun. Your site template is set up and it looks like this. It's kind of got this generic look, and we're going to spend the next several minutes configuring your site. Now, congratulations, we're excited. We've done about 98% of the work, and now you need to do about another 2%. These steps will be outlined below in a document below this video, and it'll change over time as we test and tweak things. So we're going to do our best to kind of walk through the settings. We'll make little notes if there's anything we need to change in the future. So again, if you want help with this, you're welcome to use some of your support credits, and you can contact support and give them a lot of your information. They can help you set this up. However, I would highly recommend that you actually just go through this checklist that I'm about to show you so you can kind of learn it. You don't have to become a WordPress geek expert, but it is handy to learn a few basic skills. So again, below this video, you're going to see a document called the VSS Configure Site Checklist, and it's actually quite extensive. And so I want you to print this out, because some of these steps you're going to do now, some you might do later, and some you want to make sure you don't miss. And again, this document will be changing over time, so by the time you watch this video, it'll probably be a little bit different, but you'll kind of get the idea. All right, you should have received an email with a Google document that has your username and password to log into WordPress, plus some other information. Please keep that in a safe place. Don't lose it. Don't put it where a hacker can get to it, because you don't want them to go in and cause havoc into your WordPress site. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to log in. What you do is you go to go to your website, and it's always your website name /wp-admin, and it should be in the email that was sent to you as well. That's how you always get to it. So you put your domain name. In this case, it's luvpetz.com/wp login. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log in with my username and password here. Okay, and once you log in, remember you're logging in as an administrator user. Always make sure you have a really hard password. Don't change it to something easy, or you will get your site broken into. Okay, we're not kidding on that. Okay, so gosh, there's a lot to do here. So let's just go from the beginning. So the first thing you want to do is go to Settings, General. You want to change your site title, your tagline, your email address, and time zone. So let's do that. So if I go in here to my dashboard and I click down to Settings, I'm just going to go ahead and click on it because there's quite a few settings in here. Site title. Yours may say something different, so put the site title. I like to put mine in there and capitalize the first letter of each word. I put a tagline already in here. We love pets as much as you do. And then put an email address in there. Put a real email address in there because you want to get notifications here. Put your time zone in here, and then go ahead and hit Save Changes. All right, so that's done. Next thing, we want to go into something called WordFence. Now, WordFence is a security plugin that we've added to your site, and we highly recommend that you keep it on at all times. WordFence basically stops hackers from getting in, or does its best to prevent it. So what I want you to do is go ahead and go to WordFence, and I want you to hit the Start a WordFence Scan button. Now, I've already done that in this one, but it may take up to 5-10 minutes, and sometimes it'll say problems found. You can just read what those are. In this case, it's saying that a couple of my plugins need to be updated, which is a good thing, and I'll update those later on in the video. So let that run. It might take 5-10 minutes. Go grab a soda or something like that, and then come back. So if everything's running okay, if you don't see any major problems, you can move on. The next thing I want you to do is in WordFence, I want you to go to Performance Setup. We're going to be running what's called caching, and they have a really cool caching plugin here. When you get yours, it'll say disabled. I want you to put this to Enable WordFence Caching and hit Save Changes to the type of caching enabled above. Now it's going to come up and say, hey, are you sure this could break your WordPress? And I want you to download this file, just save it somewhere. You're probably never going to need it, and just save it. And then I'm going to hit click to enable Falcon Engine. What this does is caching is a thing when someone first requests to visit your site, it's going to pull from WordPress and do all this stuff, and it's going to bring your document up. but then it makes a copy of it in a very small little file that's called a static file. And so when other people come to it, it loads it up very fast. So running caching can really, really speed your site up. I want you to click on this button again because I wanted you to see something here. There was another option there that I went past really quick. Click to enable Falcon Engine, and then click here to refresh this page. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do, and you're going to notice when you're running Falcon Engine, you'll have a little Falcon up here. Now, this is the one thing I do want you to know about caching. Sometimes when you've changed something on a page, and then you look at it and it hasn't changed, it's because of the caching. So what you can do is you can come in here and you can look at the caching stats and see how many pages are cached, and then you can clear it. You don't have to hit, you just clear it. And many times clearing the caching will solve your issue. So caching is a really, really good thing. If you're ever having really weird problems, come in and turn caching off. Okay, so as far as WordFence, you can go to the options here. There's all kinds of settings in here. I wouldn't waste too much time with this. They do have a premium version of WordFence, and it is very good to have because they have some other things and they have a little bit more updated security. But the free one will be pretty good for you. It's, you know, you're going to have a lot invested in your site, so it's not that bad of an idea to go ahead and get pay for their plugin. You shouldn't really need to modify too many things in here, but if you start getting like way too many notifications of hackers trying to log in, you can dial down some of these notifications that get sent out to you. If you have any questions, go into the forums area. There's a lot of people that will talk about this. Okay, down to the checklist here. Next thing is we want to go to Settings, Updraft Plus, Backups, and we want to look at some of the settings in here. So we put a licensed version of something called Updraft Plus. So go to Settings here, and then Updraft Plus Backups. We do nightly backups of the whole server, and then we provided this Updraft Plus in here for you to be able to do backups as well. Now, in the settings here, what you want to do is you want to have this backup daily. I would put it to about 3 on the files and about 3 on the databases. And I would set this at a time that's going to go maybe like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when not a lot of people are visiting your site. And then you got to make sure you hit save down here. Now, this is important. Right now it's configured to save right on the hard drive, and as your site gets bigger, it's going to take up a lot more space. So you don't want it to eat up all your space. I'm not going to do it right now, but they have all kinds of other options where you can save your backups to different off-site backups like Dropbox or Amazon S3 or Google Drive, which I particularly like, or FTP, or all kinds of things. And that way you actually have a copy of your website off somewhere else. So I would go ahead and hit Save Changes. Just want to give you an idea how you actually would do a backup. Right now it's automatically doing a backup. If you want to back up now, I would hit actually just back up now. And I would hit back up now. And it'll go through. You can choose the different things that you want to back up. And you don't necessarily need to do the WordPress core. In fact, I probably wouldn't. Just hit back up now. And it's actually going to do a backup. So this is a good idea it'll just run automatically every day for you. You can play around with those settings, like I said, and then you can look at your different backups. Now, be careful doing restorations in that. Read the documentation if you need to do that. Hopefully you'll never need to, but it's always a good idea that you have it there. So the next thing I want you to do is go to Setting and Ask Commit. There's people can leave comments on your website, and this thing will prevent spam. So Settings and Akismet, I think that's how you say it, and it'll ask you to get your API key. So click that button and go through the process. It's going to have you create a WordPress.com account, and there's one setting on there where it looks like they try to make you pay for it, but they don't. You could just toggle that down to a free setting. Just go to YouTube and type in how do I get my Activate Ask Commit, and it'll walk you through it. It's not like super critical that you have this, but if you start getting a lot of spam, it'll block it. Okay, next setting here, I want to go to click on dashboard, and on your dashboard, if you have a warning here that says, hey, WordFence would like to use your email address to send notifications, go ahead and yes, click on that, because you want to make sure that you get email notifications from WordFence. Okay, next thing you want to do is go to comments and WP discuss, and then add-ons. So again, when people leave comments, they do it, and you can sometimes get spam. So if you go here to settings on WP discuss, there's this little add-on that we've purchased for you. It's called Google Recaptcha, and it takes a few minutes to set this up, but it basically makes one of those little code things that people have to type in when they want to leave you a message. I would recommend that you do that. If you don't want it, you can go turn this off in the plugins, and I'll show you later how to go into the plugins area. So just follow these instructions here and put your keys in there to set that up. The next thing is you want to go to pages. We're going to edit the front page, put our domain title in. We're going to mess around with some of the SEO stuff and the Facebook image stuff. All right, so I'm going to go into the top here, pages. Now you're going to have some default pages in here, and you'll use some of these you won't, but go down to the bottom. Here we go, look for the front page, okay, and go ahead and hit edit. From here, you want to put your website name in the title. So don't have it say your site, put it like, this would be lovepets.com. And I can just dismiss this right here. And I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to look at a couple settings here. Number one, this share button right here under Yoast SEO. This is the default information that Facebook will show for your site when someone puts your site in to Facebook. And so you'll want to change this up, put a title, a description, and you'll want to do an image that's 1200 by 630. That's kind of maybe like a default image, and you can have that created when you do your logo. Once you've got that set in there, let's go check see if there was any other settings in here that we needed to do. Under pages, yeah, I think we're good here, so we would go ahead and hit update, and that would save those changes. The next thing we want to do is go into contact. As you know, let's go back into pages. We're going to edit the about us and also the contact us. So if I go back here to pages, you're going to see you're going to have an about us page, and you need to enter some information and tell people what your site is all about. And the important thing is you don't say my site is all about getting you to click on ads. That would be a bad thing. So right here where it says put your about us content here, go look at other people's pages. Hey, love pets. We love our pets, and we know you do too. We post funny videos. We post amazing stories of pets of all ages. Blah 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 blah. Whatever you want to say there. And then I would hit update. All right, the next page that you want to update. So I'm going to go back into pages, and I am going to pick the contact us. There's a little spot you need to edit here under the contact us, and that's at the bottom. You need to put your mailing address here. You need to put some kind of mailing address because it's required by law for the DMCA for the contact us. So you got to put some kind of address in there. All right, next setting. We want to go to, where are we? Go to contact, edit contact form. Okay, so there's a little plugin here called contact. Click there, contact and contact forms. This is so people can actually, contact you. So there's this contact form 1. Go ahead and hit edit. And look at the form, look at the mail, and then from here you need to put from. So this is going to be like from, lovepets.com. And then you can change anything in here that you want. Any of the settings in here. And then you go ahead and hit save. And you might want to go test your form. Also, go into message, you can see what the titles of your message should be, and then you can click on additional settings and play around with this. But really the first thing that all you have to really worry about is this mail setting here and putting that from address. Okay, and don't forget to save it on that page. Now we're going to go to appearance and widgets, and I'll show you where that is. Appearance and widgets. Under here, you're going to have what are called widgets, and it's things that appear on the side of your page. For example, when you go to a post, everything that's on the side right here and on the bottom is a widget. So all you need to do is you need to look at this easy Facebook likes. And in another module, we're going to teach you how to build a Facebook page and get an application ID. So you'd put that in here in your application ID, and you'd also go to footer, no, you want to go to footer 1, and it'll have another one of these things. You put your Facebook URL and your application ID. If you don't have those yet, you can just leave those blank. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is categories. Let's go into categories. So we want to go up to posts, and then we want to go to categories. Now, these are the categories that are on your page that'll show up at the top and also in your menus. So for example, topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 5, 4 and 5. So we got 5 topics in there. So rename these topics, just hit edit and put topic there. You can put it all in uppercase, lowercase, but then the slug, put the name of your topic. So if it was like cats, I would just put cats for the slug. You can't have a space in the slug. Don't worry, if you don't need to know what a slug is, just do it. So you can edit those categories and save the changes down below. I think the save button's way, the update is way down there. So now that you've modified your categories, now we're going to go into what's called Insights, which is the plugin that's going to connect you to Google Analytics, which is going to be the lifeblood of figuring out if you're making money in this business. So if you go to Insights and then Dashboard, first thing it's going to say, it's going to want to connect you to your Google Analytics account. Now, if you don't have a Google Analytics account, that's okay. You can just get one. Now, you have to have a Gmail address or a Google account. And then if you just go to analytics.google.com, .google.com. I know you can't see that on the video, but I'm going to analytics.google.com, and I have a couple things in here. So if it comes up and asks you to log in and create an account, go ahead and do that, and then stay logged in. Now from here, you'll come back here and you'll hit authenticate with your Google Analytics profile. I'm not going to do it right now because I don't want to authenticate it with this, but you just follow the instructions and then you get to authenticate with it. And then we'll do more with the analytics later on. Okay, now the next thing is creating logos. So you've got certain logos that you're going to need on your site. And here's the great thing about websites these days. You don't need a crazy logo because most people are going to be looking at your website on a mobile phone, and your logo is going to be really small. So we've given you these recommended sizes to get a logo created, and your logo can be very simple. Let me show you my aboutallthings.com. You see my logo is very simple. You can go to places like Fiverr and you can get people to create logos for you. And you're going to want to have different sizes, and I'll show you where to go put those here in just a moment. So that you can get all these logos created. This 16 by 16 is the icon that shows up in your browser. It's like a little thumbnail icon. Look at the top of your browser in a tab and you see those little icons. That's called a favicon. So have someone create these size logos for you. Basically what they'll do is they create one logo and then they'll resize them to all these different sizes. Okay, that might be some of the most challenging thing for a lot of you, figuring out what your logo is going to be, but really just keep it simple, but keep it nice as well, because you want your site to look really familiar. So we're going to show you where to put those plugins here in just a minute. Let's speaking of plugins, I'm going to show you kind of how your WordPress site works. It has these things called plugins. Now, plugins are necessary to run several features, but they can also really slow your site down. So if you don't need to add a plugin, don't add it. The more plugins you run, the slower your site's going to be. We've added a lot of plugins already to get everything to work, and you can see the active plugins, and you can kind of read and see what some of them do, and some of you don't even really care. But I want to show you this inactive plugins because we have some features in here that we have not activated that you might want to add later. And some of these things are ads, like you might want to turn content.add on, info links. We have some additional social sharing features in here that you can turn on. Some of these you'll probably never use, the Thea post slider, and we're not going to use WP Supercache. So if you have that in there, you can just delete that because we're already using a different caching plugin. So those are plugins. Now we're going to go into Newsmag. I'm going to show you what that is, and we're going to go into the theme panel. I'm going to have you put your logos in there. So Newsmag is our theme that we're using to run our WordPress site. So if you go to Newsmag, you're going to see some different options here, but the biggest thing is you want to go to theme panel. Now the one thing is, if you're ever having any problems, before I go into the theme panel, if you go to system stats, you can look in here and all these things should pretty much be in green. It's okay if some of the things are in yellow. So it says we don't have a caching plugin, but we actually do have a caching plugin. And this thing says that it disabled one of our things because of one of our plugins. That's fine, but make sure the rest of these things are green. If you have a lot of reds or like a lot of warning signs, then you might have something else and you need to contact support. So if you go into theme panel, there are a ton of settings in here and you really shouldn't modify much at all because we already have this template set up for you. But if you do, this is the place to do it. I just want to show you where you put your logos. So right here under header, you're going to go to logo and favicon. This is where you can upload your different logos. You remove this and then hit upload, and it takes you through the process of uploading a logo. You can have a retina logo, your little 16 by 16 favicon logo, then logo for mobile is the next thing you want to click, and there are 2 different logo sizes that you can put in there. Make sure you hit save changes. And let's see, in the footer, there might be logos in here, but you can double check everything. I think we're good. I think it just takes a logo from the top in there. So Newsmag is very, very powerful. Let me show you one of the things. You could spend a lot of time tweaking. You could also spend a lot of time messing your site up. You can go read about this plugin. They have some great forums and support in there as well. A lot of times you can find your answers right online. I do want to show you one thing that's in here, and I think it's one of our checklists, but since I'm in here right now, let me just show it to you. It's the custom code. Now, eventually when you start running traffic, you're going to be doing what's called Facebook pixeling. There's this little custom code in here where you can put your information from your Facebook pixel. You can copy and paste it all in there, or you can just change these little IDs in here to match yours. So right now everything's to 0, so it's not gonna really work. You can just ignore it if you don't have your Facebook pixel yet, and most people don't have it right at the beginning. So let's take a look at. So we did the custom code. One thing you might want to do is create additional users, because, like, for example, some of my blogs, they're geared more towards women, so I have pseudonyms for some of the people that are ghostwriters. So I've got one named Carrie and one named Teresa, and they're different users, and maybe you have someone that's writing articles for you and you want to give them access to your WordPress. Just don't give them admin access. So if you go to users, you're going to see a couple of users in here. One is you, and one is the VSS support, do not delete. That is our support team. We have an admin access into your account with a super secure password. The only time we go in there is to help you. So if you've asked us to go in there, or we have a critical thing that we need to apply. If you don't want us in there, you can delete it, but that also limits the type of support that you can give us. Trust me, you'll probably want to leave it in there so you can get more help from us. But what I would do is I would click on Add New, and you can enter in their information. For username, I like to usually put the person's email. So email, and then put their first name, and then You can hit show password, it'll create a password for them, or you can type a different password in. The important thing is the role you give them. Subscriber is just someone that can view your site. Contributor, author, and editor. Editor is probably what you want to give people for them to be able to add posts to your site. Be very careful about giving anyone admin access, because they can go in and delete your whole site that way. All right, next on our checklist is updating any plugins if we have any updates. And let me show you how to do that. You're going to always have different updates that happen in your WordPress account. You'll see these little orange things, and if I click here, it's going to tell me the specific updates that need to be updated. And so what's cool is we let this Updraft Plus go in and back up our plugins before we ever apply any updates. If it's not on, go ahead and click this button that says automatically back up relevant plugins. And then I would go ahead and I would select the plugins. I look at them and kind of read them. You can view the stats. See, the thing about plugin updates is sometimes a plugin can actually break your website. Usually it doesn't, but sometimes it can. So just be very careful about updating your plugins. That's why you take a backup first. I'm going to hit update plugins. The Updraft Plus is going to come. It's going to make a backup in case something goes wrong, and then we can restore it. How cool is that? So now it's going to go ahead and update the plugins. So after it's updated the plugins, you'll get some notifications. They'll tell you that everything went okay. So really pay attention to what those say. And then I can hit return to plugin pages and I'm good, or you can go to the dashboard. So that's it on that. Okay, the next thing you're going to notice is that your website is set up with sample posts, and they really don't mean anything. They're just kind of like fillers. So you kind of get an idea of what your site looks like. And notice there's no ads in here right now. We'll show you how to insert your ads on a different post. You're not even going to put ads on your page for at least 10 days or so of content that you're consistently having on here. So I'm going to show you how to archive those sample posts when you get to that spot. And you'll want to do that once you have your logo in and all your settings. You've got everything set up the way you want it. Then we're going to get rid of those posts in there. So what I do is I go to posts, and I can see every single one of those posts in there. And you might have to do this on a couple pages because it only lets me check. There's 4 pages in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click this button to select everything. Just make sure if you put any other post in here that you don't select it. I'm going to hit bulk actions, edit, and apply. And over here on status, you can either put draft. That's many times what I'll do, because I like to keep those in there. You never know when you want to use a couple of those in there just for some filler information, or you could just delete them out. But once you delete them out, you can't get them back in. I'm going to put these to draft, and I'm going to hit update, and then they'll disappear from my website. Takes a second because it's going to go through each one of those and update those. And there's 4 pages of these. Now there is this thing called screen options where you can say, hey, show me, more things per page. But just be careful about putting that up too high because you can lock your WordPress up when you do that. So you can see now I have 20 in my drafts. So if I go back to published, let's go ahead and just try this here. I'm going to tag this up to 40 and see what we get. So now it's going to show me more in my list here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tag these, bulk actions, edit, apply, and I'm going to change these all to draft. So after several minutes, you'll have all those in drafts, and let's go take a look at what our site looks like now. It's going to look quite different when I refresh. It's going to be nothing in there. Actually, there is stuff in there because of the caching. So let me go ahead and teach you. This is a perfect example of the caching. So if I go back into WordFence, performance setup, and I'm going to clear the cache, watch what happens when I come up here and refresh. Didn't do it. There we go. When I go to the home page, it's there. Okay, so now there's nothing there. So as you start to do your articles, then this will start to fill up. So don't worry, when you first get started, you're not going to be, it's going to take you several days to kind of get your pages all filled up. And that's what will happen. And then someday you'll have hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of articles on there. Okay, so once that's done and you've started creating your content, after about a day or so, I would go and do this very last step. And this is a very important step, or else the search engines and Google and everyone else is not going to be able to find your site. So go into Settings, Reading, and uncheck this box that says discourage search engines from indexing the site, and then hit Save Changes. And that way the search engines can find your site. And congratulations, your site is done. You are set up, you are configured. And like I said, over time, this video is going to change a little bit. This document will have a lot more to it. But wow, congratulations, your site is up and going, and you're ready to move on and start building content.